Looking for tasty, healthy desserts for Christmas that are also good for you? Then watch this video because I'm sharing with you 3 delicious recipes that are great, healthy dessert ideas for the holidays. And if you're new to Keep Up With Liv, this is the place where we make delicious paleo recipes and discuss how the ingredients can benefit your health. So make sure to subscribe and let's get into it. So the first thing we are making are these pecan pie bars, which might be my favorite recipe I've made all season. So I'm using a blend of almond flour and coconut oil, both of which are full of healthy fats, which are going to help keep our blood sugar stable. To that, I'm adding in a little bit of vanilla as well as a little bit of maple syrup just for some sweetness. And then I'm just going to use my spatula to mix that all together until all of our ingredients are combined and you get a nice wet sticky dough. And this is what's going to be the base of our pecan pie bars. So I took a loaf pan that I lined with parchment paper just to make it easier to pull the bars out later. And this is going to make 8 bars, but if you want to make more, you can definitely double this recipe and use a square pan. So go ahead and press down your dough into all the corners so you get a nice even layer. And we're going to be putting that in the oven to bake while we make our topping. So while that's in the oven, go ahead and take a pan and heat that to low-medium heat and add in some coconut oil, some coconut sugar, which is a great unrefined sugar, as well as some maple syrup. And it's this blend that's going to create a really nice, wonderful caramel filling that's going to combine with our pecans to create that nice decadent bar. And the great thing about this is that there's no high fructose corn syrup, which is what is used in a lot of pecan pie and pecan bars that you're going to normally find. Once it bubbles for about 2-3 minutes, take it off the heat and add in a little bit of vanilla. Definitely set a timer because you don't want to let it bubble too long or it will burn. To that, I'm adding in a little bit of arrowroot flour that I mixed with a tablespoon of almond milk just to help it dissolve. And this arrowroot is key because it's what really helps it to thicken and really create that nice texture. To that, I'm going to be adding in some chopped pecans. Be sure to get ones that are unsalted because you definitely don't want to be adding salty nuts to this mixture. And then just fold that in until all of the pecans are coated with our caramel. Once the base layer is out of the oven, go ahead and take your pecan mixture and scoop that out onto the top and spread that out into a nice even layer. And the great thing about these is that they can definitely be made in advance, and like I said, you can double or triple the recipe. They are also freezer friendly. I put all the leftovers of these in the freezer that I wasn't going to eat within the next 24-48 hours because the freezer helps things stay fresh as opposed to the fridge. So after baking that for about 25-30 minutes, I allowed that to chill for a couple hours in the fridge because you want that caramel candy to kind of set a bit. And then I'm slicing it into bars. And I actually brought some of this over to my friend's house for her to try. And she said that they were like her favorite thing of all the treats that I brought her. So they are very delicious. Your friends and your family are going to love them. And they are definitely a key recipe to add into your holiday list. Next up, we are making gingerbread truffles. So for this, I'm using dates, which have a great natural caramel flavor to them. To that, I'm adding in some coconut cream, which is just the thick part of the coconut milk from a can, as well as a blend of spices, which is just ginger, nutmeg, and cinnamon. And to that, I'm going to be adding in some coconut flour, which just helps the texture of the inside of the truffle. And to that, I'm adding in a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses. And it's important to get blackstrap because it's that one that has all the benefits. It has lots of minerals, it has iron, manganese. So if you're going to be using molasses, make sure you use the blackstrap one. So then I'm just blending that until smooth and using a little scoop to scoop out a ball, and then I'm dipping that in paleo chocolate. And I like to make a homemade paleo chocolate, which is just cacao, coconut oil, and a little bit of maple syrup, and I will leave the ratios for that down below. But you can definitely also just melt down your favorite dairy-free chocolate and use that to coat them. So to scoop each of your balls out, I use about a heaping teaspoon for each of them, and then I dip that into the paleo chocolate and set that on a sheet of parchment paper so that it peels off easily and doesn't get stuck. After about 15-20 minutes in the fridge, the chocolate is set and you have these wonderfully delicious gingerbread truffles. So next we are making some peppermint brownies. So I'm just using a bar of this mint chocolate. I really like this brand because it doesn't have any weird ingredients. It's only made with good things, and their ingredients are also really simple. Plus this already has a little bit of mint in it, so I figured why not? So I'm breaking down this bar of chocolate so that we're going to use the nice mint, which is going to add that little boost of mint into the brownies. And to that I'm going to be adding in some coconut oil, and we're going to melt those down together until everything is nice and smooth. So just make sure it's smooth with your whisk. And then to that I'm adding in some maple sugar, but you can definitely add in coconut sugar too. I just had maple sugar on hand. And then I'm adding in 2 flax eggs that I really allowed to gel for a good 15 minutes. You can use eggs in this recipe, but because the other recipes were vegan and plant-based, I wanted to keep this whole video vegan, so I'm just using flax eggs here, but you can use either. Just really make sure you allow the flax eggs to gel up because we really want them to bind our brownies. I'm adding in a little bit of peppermint extract as well as some cacao and some cassava flour. And cassava is a great grain-free flour. It's probably what's in most similar to a white flour in terms of consistency. So add that in until everything is nice and combined and your flour and your cacao and everything is distributed. And then I'm just going to scoop that out into my square pan that I lined with parchment paper. Again, either line with parchment paper or make sure you really grease it well. I just find when I line baked goods with parchment paper, I can just pull it out after and slice things up. Plus it makes cleanup super easy. So just spread your batter into all of the corners. And while that's in the oven, I'm gonna make a really delicious cashew frosting. So I have my soaked cashews that I soaked for an hour in boiling water, but you can also do it overnight. To that, I'm adding in some coconut oil as well as coconut cream and a touch of peppermint extract too. And then you're just gonna blend that up until it gets nice and smooth. This is a super simple frosting recipe. I did chill this for a little bit, but if you want it to be a bit softer, just allow it to get out of the fridge for a little bit before you spread it on. But if the brownies are still a little bit warm, it is going to melt it, so that's why I chilled it. Or you can just make sure you allow your brownies to fully cool before putting on your frosting so that it's not running down the sides or into the brownies. So once you spread that out, I'm gonna go ahead and add some crushed candy canes, and I found these at my local Whole Foods. I loved them because the red dye was made from beets and the other ingredients were very whole, simple ingredients, which is important because you don't want to buy candy canes with red dye. Red dye is one of the worst things you can consume. It's just linked to so many different bad things for your body. So go for ones that aren't artificially colored. And then you just have to slice up your brownies. So as you guys can see, this made 9 large brownies for me. And if you're not eating them within the first 24, 48 hours, I would suggest putting them in the freezer to help keep them nice and fresh, or share them with friends and family too, because they will definitely love this recipe. So I hope you guys enjoyed this healthy dessert video. If you make anything, be sure to tag me on Instagram so that I can see it and share it. They're all such good, delicious recipes. I haven't had a pecan pie bar in I don't know how long because they're normally made with things that I can't eat. So I was really excited for that recipe this year. Let me know your favorite down below, and don't forget to check out my holiday recipes playlist. There's tons of good stuff in there, more desserts, but also breakfast, eggnog pancakes, gingerbread pancakes, cinnamon rolls, so many good things in there to make for the holidays that taste so good, but are also good for you. I hope you guys are all having a great day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.